Okay, did you know that letting your real estate license expire in Wisconsin can literally cost you your livelihood? I'm talking frozen commissions, zero active deals, and even hefty fines. It's a high stakes reality because state law strictly prohibits any unlicensed practice. If you miss that deadline, you have to stop everything. No negotiations, no commission collections, nothing. But hey, don't panic. If you're frantically searching for how to avoid this nightmare and keep your career on track, you're in exactly the right place.
Welcome to today's Explainer. I'm so glad you're here because we're going to walk through the definitive, step-by-step survival guide on how to renew your real estate license in Wisconsin. Whether you're a seasoned broker who's done this a million times or a total beginner gearing up for your very first renewal cycle, I'm going to break down all those complex administrative codes into plain English so you can confidently tackle this.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the renewal basics, move on to continuing education requirements, and then walk through the exact step-by-step process. After that, we'll troubleshoot what to do if your license has actually lapsed, and finally wrap up with some pro tips and reminders.
All right, let's dive into part one, the renewal basics. These are your absolute prerequisites for staying compliant.
December 14th. Seriously, burn that date into your memory right now. In Wisconsin, real estate licenses for both salespersons and brokers are valid for a 2-year period. And they always expire on December 14th of even-numbered years, so think 2024, 2026, 2028, and so on. This is an absolute, non-negotiable deadline set by the Department of Safety and Professional Services, or the DSPS. Missing it by even 1 minute past midnight, your credential immediately lapses. Boom, done.
Now, as for the cost, the standard renewal fee across the board is $60. Whether you hold a salesperson license or a full broker license, you'll need to pay this $60 fee to the DSPS to process your active renewal. Honestly, it's a pretty small price to pay to keep your business fully operational, right? But wait, there's actually a super crucial and honestly pretty surprising exemption here. If you're a brand new real estate salesperson and you got your original license after October 1st of an even-numbered year, you actually don't have to complete the continuing education requirements for that specific 2-year cycle. It's this fantastic little grace period that saves new agents time and money right out of the gate.
Okay, moving on to part two, continuing education requirements. This is all the prep work you need before you can actually renew. So for everyone else who doesn't get that lucky exemption, you can't just log in, pay your $60 and call it a day. The state requires you to prove your educational compliance first. Every active real estate licensee in Wisconsin has to complete 18 hours of approved continuing education within each 2-year renewal cycle. And yes, you absolutely have to finish these 18 hours before you submit that renewal application.
Now, how do you spend those 18 hours? Well, the curriculum is pretty meticulously structured by the state. You've got to knock out 12 hours of mandatory state topics. Think critical legal frameworks like Wisconsin agency law, contract drafting, and fair housing. Then you get to choose 6 hours of elective courses based on what actually interests you, like short sales, foreclosures, or disclosures. The whole idea here is just to make sure you're totally up to date on consumer protection and all the latest transaction laws.
And listen to this part carefully. Once you finish those 18 hours, you must keep your CE completion records for a minimum of 5 years. Seriously, treat those documents like gold. The Wisconsin Real Estate Examining Board does random audits. If they virtually knock on your door and you can't produce those certificates, you could face disciplinary action, even if you actually took the classes. So file them away safely.
All right, part 3, the step-by-step process. Let's execute this renewal.
I promise to walk you through exactly how to do this, so it doesn't feel like this massive administrative chore. It really just boils down to 3 brilliantly simple sequential steps. Step 1, finish your 18 hours of continuing education. Step 2, log into the state's online portal. And Step 3, pay your $60 fee. That is your simple formula for success. To tackle Step 2, you're going to navigate to the DSPS online portal. They call it Licensee. It's basically a self-guided occupational license application platform. The state has moved heavily toward digital processing these days, making it incredibly fast and completely paperless. You'll just log in using your standard DSPS credentials. When you get to the payment screen, the licensee portal accepts Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express, and electronic checks. But heads up, to avoid any annoying surprises, you should know the state tacks on a 2% convenience fee for all credit and debit card transactions, so you will see that pop up as a separate little charge on your bank statement. Now, I know some of you might prefer doing things the old-fashioned way on paper. That is still possible, but you have to be super proactive. You literally must contact the DSPS by phone or email to request a paper application at least 15 business days prior to that December 14th expiration. So whatever you do, do not wait until the last minute if you're relying on snail mail. Which brings us to Part 4, Troubleshooting Lapsed Licenses. Here's what to do if you actually missed the deadline.
So, what if life happened? Things got crazy and you missed the deadline. Take a deep breath. There is a safety net, but the reinstatement requirements differ drastically based on exactly how long your license has been expired. The magic number here is 5 years. If you're under 5 years, the fix is relatively straightforward. But man, the second you cross that 5-year mark, the state basically requires you to prove your competency completely from scratch.
Let's say your lapse is recent, meaning under 5 years. Here's the math on that. First, you have to complete those 18 hours of continuing education from the previous cycle that you missed. Then, you pay your standard $60 renewal fee, plus a $25 late fee. So basically, for $85 and some coursework, you are officially back in the game.
However, if you're a salesperson whose license lapsed more than 5 years ago, you have a much steeper hill to climb. You actually have to complete these 72 hours of pre-license education all over again, or provide 10 college credits in real estate law. On top of that, you have to retake and pass the state salesperson exam, and you still have to complete your past continuing ed. And if you're a broker, oh, it's even more rigorous, involving business management education and passing both the broker and salesperson exams. It's a lot.
I actually want to highlight a direct quote from the Wisconsin Administrative Code because it busts a really common myth. It explicitly says, a licensee with an expired license may not reapply for the license using the initial application process. Meaning, no, you can't just pretend you're a brand new applicant to avoid the late fees or those specific educational hurdles. You have to use their designated late renewal and reinstatement process. Finally, let's wrap up with Part 5, Final Tips and Reminders. Let's talk best practices and next steps. Now that you know exactly what the rules are, I want to leave you with some actionable insights so you never, ever have to stress about late fees or lapse licenses again. Here are my top strategies for bulletproofing your compliance. First, literally pull out your phone right now and set a calendar reminder for October of the next even-numbered year. Give yourself a runway. Second, look into subscription CE services or professional real estate schools that let you take classes online at your own pace. And third, join professional associations like the Wisconsin Realtors Association. They track legislative changes and send out massive reminders to their members when renewal time is coming up. It's totally worth it. Now, just a quick reminder, while this explainer provides accurate, up-to-date info straight from the state codes, administrative rules can and do change. Always verify the details directly with the Wisconsin Department of Safety and Professional Services to ensure you're fully compliant, because of course, this isn't legal advice. If you found this breakdown helpful, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for more real estate tips and drop a comment below with your own experiences or any questions you have about the renewal process. I'll leave you with this one final question to think about. Are your 18 continuing education credits ready for December 14th? Seriously, don't wait until the portal crashes from high traffic in December. Log in, check your educational status today, and secure your livelihood. Thanks so much for hanging out and learning with me on this explainer, and I will see you next time.